My father left me his business, but my sister thinks the business should be hers, even though she hated my father and hasn't spoken to him in the last 17 years. I never expected my father's death to bring me peace. He was a hard man, strict, distant, a perfectionist to the point of cruelty. Growing up under his roof was like living inside a pressure cooker, and I had spent most of my life either trying to win his approval or trying to prove that I didn't need it. The irony? I never got either. But despite everything, I stayed. I worked alongside him for years, building the business he had started from the ground up. It wasn't easy. Long hours, constant criticism, and an endless pursuit of perfection. Yet in some twisted way, I respected him, maybe even admired him, because he had built something real, something that mattered. My sister, Rachel, she didn't see it that way. She left when she was 19 and never looked back, said she wanted nothing to do with him or his money-obsessed lifestyle. She cut all ties, refused to visit, and when my father tried to reach out over the years, she shut him down without hesitation. 17 years. 17 years of silence, of complete abandonment. And now? Now she wanted everything. I should have seen it coming. The moment we sat down at the lawyer's office, I could feel the tension crackling in the air. Rachel sat across from me, arms crossed, her expression unreadable. We hadn't spoken in years, not really. There had been the occasional awkward phone call, but we were more like strangers than siblings. The lawyer cleared his throat. Your father left specific instructions regarding his estate. I'll get straight to it. Rachel leaned back in her chair, rolling her eyes. Let me guess, he left everything to his precious business? The lawyer ignored her tone and continued reading. Everything, every single asset, every dollar, every piece of property had been left to me. I sat there in stunned silence. I had assumed he would leave me the business, sure, but everything. Rachel? She wasn't silent for long. This has to be a joke. Her voice was sharp, shaking with anger. He had 2 children. Why does he get everything? The lawyer sighed, clearly having anticipated this reaction. Your father's reasoning was clear. He stated that James, he nodded toward me, was the only one who remained by his side, the only one who helped build and maintain the company. He felt it was only right that his legacy continued through him. Rachel let out a hollow laugh. Legacy? Is that what we're calling it? What about his real legacy? The years of emotional abuse? The way he controlled everyone around him? What about the fact that he was a complete and utter bastard? I clenched my fists under the table. She wasn't wrong. Our father had been a cold, ruthless man, but he had also built something from nothing, and I had spent my life ensuring that something didn't fall apart. You didn't want anything to do with him, I said, my voice low but firm. For almost 2 decades. You made that choice. Her eyes snapped to mine, full of fire. And you think that means I don't deserve anything, that I don't have a right to what's mine? It's not yours, I shot back. It was never yours. Her face twisted with fury. We'll see about that. I should have known she wouldn't walk away quietly. A week later, I got the papers. Rachel was contesting the will. She has no case, my lawyer said bluntly, flipping through the documents. Your father's will is ironclad. It's clear that he made a deliberate decision. Then why are we even talking about this? He sighed. Because people like your sister don't care about legal standing. They care about making noise, about making your life hell until you give in. Rachel's argument was simple. The will was unfair. She claimed our father had been manipulated into cutting her out, that I had somehow turned him against her, that despite not speaking to him for years, she was still his daughter and she deserved her share. I could have laughed if it wasn't so infuriating. She never wanted anything to do with him, I muttered. She despised him. She refused to even take his calls. Now that there's money involved, she suddenly cares. My lawyer gave me a knowing look. That's how it always goes. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my anger. What's the worst that could happen? He hesitated. A drawn-out court battle. Months, maybe even years of legal fees. If she finds the right lawyer, she might get a judge to force a settlement. If that happens, you'd have to pay her off just to make her go away. I gritted my teeth. That wasn't happening. Rachel had abandoned our father. She had abandoned everything he built. She had no right to walk back in now and demand a piece of it. I wasn't going to let her take what I had spent my life helping build. Then we fight, I said. I'm not giving her a damn cent. Rachel wasn't just going after the will, she was going after me. It started with whispers. Old acquaintances reaching out telling me that Rachel was spreading stories about how I had controlled our father, how I had isolated him from his daughter, how I had brainwashed him into leaving her nothing. Then came the social media posts. She painted herself as the forgotten daughter, the one who had been unfairly cut out by a manipulative, money-hungry brother. Comments flooded in, people sympathizing, people calling me a thief, people who had no idea what the truth was. And then? The reporters came. Somehow Rachel had managed to get a local news outlet to pick up the story. They wanted a comment. They wanted my side. They They wanted drama. I stared at the email from the journalist, my pulse pounding. Rachel was turning this into a public war, and I had a choice. Stay silent and let her control the narrative, or fight back. I wasn't going to let her win, but I also knew that this was just the beginning. The legal war was just the beginning. Rachel wasn't just contesting the will, she was trying to dismantle my entire life. And the worst part? I wasn't ready for just how far she was willing to go. First, it started with legal motions. Her lawyer bombarded us with requests for financial records, audits, and paperwork that dated back years. They were digging for anything, any mistake, any legal loophole that could make my claim to the business look weak. Then came the personal attacks. She started reaching out to old employees, trying to convince them that our father had been abusive, manipulative, even corrupt. She found a few disgruntled former workers, people my father had fired years ago, and suddenly there were whispers of lawsuits. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, she went public. Rachel didn't just want money, she wanted to destroy the company. She started reaching out to our biggest clients, whispering about financial instability, hinting that the company was in trouble. I lost 2 major accounts in a week. Then suddenly an anonymous tip about questionable business practices landed on the desk of a journalist. A week later, an expose about our father's toxic leadership was plastered across the news. Nepotism, manipulation, financial secrecy, the dark history behind the company now embroiled in an inheritance battle. It was a PR nightmare. Investors started pulling out, stocks dipped, employees were panicked, and through it all, Rachel sat back and watched, waiting for me to break. I didn't. She had underestimated me. I thought Rachel just wanted money. I thought she was just bitter, greedy, and looking for an easy payout. I was wrong. She had already lined up a buyer. I found out through a mutual connection, someone who had overheard a conversation at a networking event. Rachel wasn't trying to take over the company. She was trying to sell it. She had no intention of running it, no desire to continue our father's legacy. She was going to gut it, strip it for parts, and cash out. Everything I had spent years building, everything our father had worked for, was just a paycheck to her. I saw red. She wasn't just fighting me. She was trying to erase everything. That's when I made my decision. If she wanted war, I would give her war. I knew Rachel. I knew how she operated. She thrived on manipulation, on public sympathy, on making herself look like the victim. So I stopped playing by her rules. I started reaching out to the right people. The investors who had pulled out? I personally met with them, reassured them, and brought them back. The clients who had left? I reminded them why they chose to work with us in the first place. I exposed the false rumors, and then I went for the real kill shot. I found the buyer Rachel was in talks with, and I made them a better offer. I outbid her. She was blindsided. The sale she had been working towards, the entire reason she had started this battle in the first place, was dead in the water. She lost, and she knew it. But she wasn't done yet. Rachel was desperate. Her plan to sell the company had crumbled, her smear campaign was losing traction, and now she was cornered. But instead of backing down, she did something reckless. She tried to sabotage the company from the inside. One morning, I arrived at the office to find chaos. Employees were in a panic, emails were pouring in from clients, and my assistant had a look of pure horror on her face. Rachel leaked internal financial documents, she said breathlessly. She's claiming the company has been hiding fraudulent transactions. I felt my stomach drop. She was trying to take everything down with her. She had taken outdated, misleading financial reports and sent them to news outlets, framing it as proof of corruption. She even filed a complaint with the Securities and Exchange Commission. If they decided to investigate, even baseless allegations could hurt the company for years. It was a nuclear move, the kind of desperate play you make when you know you've already lost. She wasn't trying to win anymore. She was trying to ruin me. I wasn't going to let her win. If she wanted war, she was about to learn what real war looked like. First, I brought in forensic accountants. Within 48 hours, they compiled a full report debunking every one of her claims. Not only did her accusations have zero merit, but it turned out she had doctored some of the documents herself. Then I reached out to a private investigator. If Rachel was willing to play dirty, I wanted to know exactly what she had been up to over the last few years. It didn't take long to find something. Rachel was drowning in debt, credit cards maxed out, a failed business venture that had left her owing thousands. And the best part? She had secretly taken out loans using our father's name while he was still alive. That was fraud, and I had proof. I made one phone call to her lawyer. "Tell Rachel this stops now," I said. "Because if it doesn't, I'm pressing charges, not just for defamation, not just for business sabotage, but for financial fraud." Less than an hour later, I got a call from Rachel herself. Her voice was shaking. "You wouldn't do that to me." "Wouldn't I?" I said, my tone cold. "You tried to destroy everything I built. You tried to turn my life into a nightmare, and now you expect me to show mercy." "It wasn't supposed to go this far," she whispered. I thought I deserved something. You deserved exactly what you got. Nothing. She was silent. Then quietly she asked, "What do you want?" I exhaled, feeling the weight of everything she had done. "Here's what's going to happen," I said. "You're going to withdraw the lawsuit. You're going to issue a public statement admitting you lied. And then you're going to disappear. You don't get another chance, Rachel. This is the last deal you're ever going to get." She hesitated. "And if I don't?" I let the silence stretch before answering. "Then you'll spend the next 5 years fighting legal battles you can't afford. You'll be in court, in debt, and possibly in jail. You won't win, Rachel. You never could." She breathed in sharply. She knew she had lost. Rachel withdrew the lawsuit the next day. She released a public statement claiming she had been emotionally distressed and acted irrationally. But the damage to her reputation was done. She had burned every bridge, lost every ounce of credibility she had. She walked away with nothing. I, on the other hand, I rebuilt. The company bounced back, the clients returned, and I made sure my father's legacy, not the man, but the empire he built, remained intact. Rachel and I haven't spoken since. I heard she moved to another state, trying to start over. Part of me wanted to feel bad for her, to reach out. But then I remembered. She had tried to destroy me, and if I had given her an inch, she would have tried again. Some people don't deserve second chances. As for me, I came out of this stronger. I learned that blood doesn't mean loyalty, that family isn't about DNA, it's about who stands beside you when the storm comes. And Rachel, she was just a storm I had to weather.